So more than likely this is probably part 2 of the video. So where I left off was I got the cradle out from underneath there, and what I did since then was I readjusted my engine holder. As you can see, I put a extension piece on here just because it was all the way to the top of the threads and I wasn't able to lower it down anymore, and you got to lower it down some just so you can clear the side of the car right here. So what I did since then was I put that on there, and we took this mount off because we lowered it down some, and then one of the airbox mounts right here I took off the back. It's 3 10mm and it was right here. And the reason we took it off was because it would have hit the firewall, not firewall, but side of the car, and it wouldn't let me bring the transmission out enough. So we got that off. I took the slave cylinder off. It's right here, and it's just 2 12mm, and it bolts on right here. Then we took the intake manifold support brace off. It's just 2 12mm. One goes to the bottom of the intake, one attaches to the engine, and we did that from underneath the car. And then the very last bolt that we had to take out for the transmission was one of the starter bolts. It is the bottom one. It is a 17mm as well, and I don't know how well y'all can see that. Right, where is it? Right in here. It is starting to separate from the engine. I do have it tilted down, I think probably enough to clear most of everything. So we should be able to pull it away from the engine and slowly lower the transmission down. So I'm gonna try to set y'all up where y'all can watch this. I believe it just broke free of the dowel pins. I think we got it now. Okay. We should have it now. We'll lower it down. Just going real slow. Make sure I don't hit anything. Make sure nothing's attached. Should be good to go. There we go. Transmission is out. There she is. Clutch pressure plate is right there, and that's what we were aiming to get. We can go underneath, let you look at it. Right there. Bad boy right there needs to come off. Hopefully the flywheel is still in good shape, because he didn't want to put any more work into this than he has to, because he's looking to probably get rid of it, sell it to like one of them used car places. But you can tell there was some wear on that right there. But now we'll have to use a 12 point to take off all these bolts. Should be 2, 4, I think 6 that hold it on. And we'll take it off, and then I'm going to take the flywheel off anyway, because I'm probably going to look at the rear main seal just to make sure it's alright. But let's get this clutch and pressure plate off real quick. These are 10mm 12 point bolts right here. Got 5 of them out. Just have one more, and I did break them loose already. Always hold it on the last one. And we have a broken pressure plate, and you can tell it's getting really low anyway. It's getting close to these rivets right here. There we are. Yeah, she was getting a little warm. Pilot bearing's pretty wore out. I'm gonna go over that with a little bit of Scotch-Brite real quick and see what it looks like, and I'm gonna clean it off. Let's see what we got. So the flywheel actually didn't come out too bad after I took some Scotch-Brite to it. And it looks like it's probably a couple little spots on it that are still look like they're a little hot, but all in all, for what he's wanting to do, I think that should be perfectly fine. Like I said, I'll call him and let him know what I found. If he wants to do it, we'll do it. If not, then we'll wait. So I'll kind of let him make that judgment. That's on him. But I mean, it'd probably be about another $50 to turn this thing at my local machine shop that I use. So like I said, I'll let him make the call, and we'll go from there. But we'll see what he says. Then I'll bring y'all back, because they did send me the wrong pilot bearing anyway, so I'm gonna have to go look that up and make sure we get the right one this time, because this one is a bigger diameter than what the other one is. This is the bushing that I got right here. Should be the pilot bearing bushing, whatever. If you look it up, this is the wrong one. My clutch kit actually came with this little bushing that goes in there. I'll show it to you. Okay, you see that little bushing that goes inside of that? That's all that it is right there. Give me a second, I'll show you what it looks like out of the car. All right, so here's the old one. I had already taken it out, and all you do is you're just going to use like a chisel or a small punch and tap it in on the bottom, and it should turn. Like, it'll be in there like that, and it should kick sideways, and you can pull it out with a screwdriver. And then you just hammer that one in flush with that piece right there, and that is all that I did to get it out. At first I thought this whole piece was the bushing, but it wasn't. This is the first time I've ever changed one of these, so I thought this whole piece right here was a bearing and that it would come out, but it doesn't. It's just that little tiny thin piece right there that is your actual pilot bearing. This right here is the kit that we got. Is from Exity. Comes with your throwout bearing. It is right here. I've already checked that. It is the same. This should be your pressure plate in here, and your actual clutch is right here. Haven't checked to see that that's the same as the other one. Looks to be about the same. And it even comes with some grease right here to put on the tip of the, what you call it? Tip of that input shaft, sorry. Had a brain fart there for a second. So you put that on there, and then we can actually lube up the shaft also for the pilot bearing right there. Or not pilot bearing, but the throwout bearing, so it moves in and out. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start putting this on. I will put a little bit of blue Loctite on the bolts, and here's your lineup tool right there. So it comes with that little bushing, the lineup tool, clutch, pressure plate, and throwout bearing. So let me gather everything, and then we'll start putting this all back together, and I'll let you know what the torque specs are as well. I got the clutch in, I got the lineup pin in there too, and I've got them just kind of run down with my fingers, and I'm going to use my impact wrench or impact gun to go in a specific pattern. Just do like a cross star pattern, you know, like you do your lugs and all that stuff. And we're going to, I got pretty much all of them except for one done. This is the last one, but I'll go over them again. Like I said, I put a dab of blue Loctite on them also, and now we got to torque them down, and surprisingly these only torque down to 19 foot-pounds, which I was surprised that it was that low, and that is another reason I put Loctite on them. So I don't know where my flywheel holder is at the moment. I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver and kind of stick it in here from underneath the bottom right here and hold it while I torque it down, because it ain't going to take much torque to hold this. But like I said, it only torques to 19 foot-pounds. I'm going to bump it up just a hair because I'm putting an extension on it. I'll probably go up to about 22, 25, somewhere around there, and torque it down. And then we can pull the grenade pin out and we can start putting her back together. Here's your throwout bearing right here. Put a little bit of that high pressure grease on the inside of it, and you can see it's got these little ears. And we cleaned out the inside of the bell housing area just because it did have a lot of that clutch material. I just sprayed it down with some degreaser, and then I let it dry for a minute. Mostly I let the input shaft dry as much as I could. Here is your fork right here, and we're going to throw this right here on there. May have to set y'all up so I can do this two-handed. Alright, so I'm going to pull this out. Just enough to get it on there. Come on. Come on, slide down. There we go. All right. Should be good now. As you can see, we got the transmission in. Got all the bell housing bolts in just about. Got the new axles in. I'll get you part numbers for those in a few minutes. Slave cylinder, the shifter cables. A lot of both of the sensors are hooked up, and then I think all we got left is to tighten the slave cylinder line, and I'm going to bleed it while I'm here. Also put the cover for the clutch on there as well, and the transmission will pretty much be buttoned up except for the cradle and this back mount right there, and putting fluid in it. But now we're going to put the oil pan gasket on. This is the perfect time to do this because the cradle is out, and with the cradle in, the oil pan does hit. So if you're going to do it now. So I only have 2 bolts left. The rest of them are out. They're all 10 millimeters. And once we pull it down, I've already drained the oil too. But I'm going to drop it down, and once I drop it down, I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you the gasket that I got for it. Here's the pan. We got it all cleaned up. Here's the gasket. I put a little bit of ultra gray underneath here just to hold it. You can see right there. And the original come with just gasket maker on it, but I'm going to use this right here with a little bit of gasket maker on it as well. And your part number, it is Felpro right there. It's OS then 30746. But where the 2 halves of the case meet, which I think is like right here and right here, somewhere around in there, I'm going to put it on the engine itself. But make sure you put at least some silicone right there if you're going to use one of these, just because that's normally where the leak is going to happen, because that's where 2 metal pieces meet, and sometimes it can leak right there. So I'm going to throw this back on and go ahead and start tightening it down, and I'll let y'all know what the torque specs are. We got the oil pan on, and I went ahead and put the cradle on as well. And the oil pan torques to 9 foot-pounds, and the cradle bolts, the 4 that attach to the front and the back, which are right here, these torque to 76 foot-pounds. Then we're going to put the suspension back on here, and don't forget that up in here you have 2 10 millimeters that hold the not power steering, yeah, maybe power steering lines, can't remember, but there's a line right here. Oh, I think it's the AC line actually, but there's 2 10 millimeter that holds that line right here on the front. So don't forget to put that on. You can do that as you're raising the cradle on, or you can do it after. It's just it's a little tighter after you put it on. And then I think the next thing we need to do is put the exhaust on. I did get a new O2 sensor for one of them, and then I got a new catalytic converter. But let me go ahead and show y'all some part numbers for the axles, the catalytic converter, the detonation sensor and O2 sensor. Got an NTK brand right here. Part number's ID0213. That is the detonation sensor. This O2 sensor right here, it is the, I think it's the white one. It's got the white cord on it right here. It is NTK also, and part number is 24409. Here's the oil filter number. It is a Wix 57356, and let me get the axles for you. We got cardon ones. They are brand new, non-refurbished ones. So part number 66-4209. This is the driver's side, and this is the passenger side. Now this is just the half axle. It isn't the part that goes into the transmission with the bearing. The bearing was pretty good on this one, and it is 66-4121. So I'll show you all a little bit up here. Like, we got the shifter cables in, we got sensors on, we got the back motor mount or transmission mount on. We put the front one on, we just don't have the bolt through it yet. Got all the brackets on up here. Connected all the lines that we can disconnected up here except for the breather. Got this mount on. We got the support for the intake on. We did that before we put the cradle. Slave cylinder is down in here. It's going to be a little bit harder to bleed it, but I can get it if I need to. It ain't on the problem. It's hard for me to get in the car right now with it up on the lift because the door does want to hit the support right there. Next thing I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the suspension on. I've got to connect the lower control arms and the tie rod ends to the struts. This one has like aftermarket coilover, so it's a little bit different than probably what yours is as far as like geometry wise. Nothing like bolt or nut wise, but just geometry wise. Oh, catalytic converter. Do not remember the part number. This is the old one, the O2 sensor and the catalytic converter. I always change that one. This is the pre-cat one. Here it is right here. I think that's the part number A117, but I'll find it exactly. It's either that or that 15192. This is a direct fit. It did come with the gasket and the front bolts. The back ones, it did not come with bolts on it. I'm going to have to grab some bolts and nuts and washers for that, which that's not a big deal. I can grab those just about anywhere. But I'm glad it come with the front ones, because sometimes those right there tend to collapse the springs on them or something like that, and it's got a good new gasket. But that's pretty much what I have left on it, and then I got to torque the axle nuts. But when we get to the end, I'll show y'all all of that stuff. I'll show you a trick for doing that too, if you want to use that trick, if you're trying to do it without a lift or an impact gun and all that stuff. So let me get to finishing this up, and then I'll bring y'all back and we'll finish out the video. I may even take you on a test drive with me, and I do have to show y'all where the detonation sensor is as well.